Three, two, one. What is going on, everybody? It's your boy, the Lo-Fi Horror Guy. Welcome to another episode of the Lo-Fi Horror Guys, growing on you live. Today, I'm going to be with the one and only QFSChris, my dude, Chris Garofalo. We're going to be digging into his artwork, his many feats that he's taken on in the art world, tons of really, really cool stuff, prints, all sorts of whatnot. So we're gonna dig right on in here and it's a good old time, and we're gonna have some fun. Chris,
Hey, what's up?
what is going on, man? How's it going?
Not too bad. How about yourself?
Good, good, man. Thank you so much for taking the time today. I appreciate it. This is awesome.
Yeah, man, for sure.
So, just to break down the show a little bit for you, initially we have two icebreaker, kind of fun, just laid back questions. The rest of the interview is about you and your craft, the many awesome feats that you have done yourself. And then I have one finale question that's written just for you. So if you're all set to go, man, we're gonna kick into it.
Yeah.
Am I pronouncing your last name right? Is it Garofalo?
Garofalo.
Jesus H. I added like 6 syllables that didn't need to be there.
You didn't even do it as bad as other people do, so don't worry about it.
Touche. All right, awesome. All right, let me ask you first of all. My wife and I do some traveling. All right, and so if we were coming through Eagleville, Pennsylvania, tell me a local eatery or a local restaurant that would be something that we'd have to stop by.
Well, if you like Italian food and good pizza, you want to go to Tosco's. That's a family-owned place. That's a little spot.
Nice.
Really good barbecue chicken pizza. That's where you want to get. You're gonna want to get that first if you're into that.
Nice.
Also, Pudge's for cheesesteaks outside of Philadelphia when you're not in the city limits.
Oh, yeah.
Pudge's is your suburban spot to hit for a steak. They have like a steak the size of your arm. It's for like $17, and they load it in. You can't finish it. You cannot finish it.
Oh shit!
So,
damn. That
that's the
sounds
thing.
awesome.
I mean, it's really cool, but you can't. There's no hope. Like you can't finish the whole thing.
Nice. Is it something too where you can reheat it and it comes back to life? Or
Oh yeah, you just got to do it right. You got to heat it very gently. You can't just don't nuke it.
Nice.
No, don't do that.
That's
But
always the best.
You can eat it cold. I've done that after some late nights of art. Got up at 8 in the morning and eaten half a cheesesteak for breakfast. It's happened before.
Nice. Awesome. I love it, man. All right, so let me ask you, if you and I were making a horror movie and I said, Chris, look, what I need you to do, I need you to come up with the villain for this movie. What would the villain be in our horror movie, man? Would we have just giant insects? Would it be, a cannibal movie? What would we have?
That's a good question because I'm a sucker for anything where an animal is overly large,
Yes,
like excessively large. Like if you give me like a 200-foot shark or crocodile, I'm gonna be there. It's just because it's so excessive. There's no reason for that, but we need it. I mean, so I love my slashers, and I absolutely love the the take on VHS with the succubus with the frat boys. Oh, I love that. I mean, that girl didn't look like anybody, and she turned the tables so quickly. So that was really awesome. I'd like to do something with that if that's a thing, but probably an excessively large animal, like that you just can't stop. Or someone like if the military showed up, they'd be like, "Oh, come on, like we can't do anything with that."
Right.
Yeah, that would be
nice.
fun. That would be fun. But,
hell yeah, that rules.
There's so much to choose from. There's so much. But
yeah, that's the fun thing with horror too, is it's like there's so many different subcategories to it too, to where it's like, just even saying that you're a horror fan, it's like, oh, well, let's, dig on a little bit more as far as like what kind of categories are you into,
Oh,
so it's
sure.
kind of
There's
cool.
A million ways to go. It's awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
Sky's the limit.
Right. So now, first off, just, kind of starting things off, tell us where your interest in art came from and in design. Where did that all start? Were you in school? Did you take some classes, or was it just always just a hobby type thing?
I would always be drawing pictures randomly. Like, my dad would draw a lot of blueprints for work, and I would be interested in that. So he would have me copy some of those, see if I could, replicate it. Then I would just always be doodling in class because I lost interest in a lot of that stuff. I like to draw. So, what kid isn't going to draw in his notebook, as far as that goes. But that started, and then I started getting into skateboarding and saw an entire wealth of board graphic art, and that was it. Once that hit, I was just like, wait a minute, there's a whole bunch of imagery on these different boards, and that just opened it up like right away. And I was just like, okay, I want to do something with this. I don't know what yet, but this is what's possible, just to
Yeah.
be inspired by it. And I remember getting dropped off at I mean, it's like all the parents in the 80s had their babysitter stores, toy stores could be a babysitter. I'm going to go grocery shopping for an hour. I'll drop you off here. I know you're safe. Skate shops were that for me. I could go into a skate shop and for 2 hours, I could just look through all the boards and just
Oh,
study the
sick.
graphics. I could easily do that. And the guy at our local shop was this little old man, and he loved it. He was super cool, and he would let me just look at everything. Like he was the best. He understood what I was doing. He knew what I was doing. So
Nice.
I know I'd
Okay.
buy a lot from them, but at the same time, he would just be like, "Oh, you want to see the graphics? Go ahead. Just be careful." He was super
Okay.
cool about it. Just be careful.
Did you ever? I mean, did you get real into skating then too, or was it more of
Yeah,
just like the
I got
graphic
I
of it?
got pretty into it. Like me and my friends would build like really janky backyard ramps, which I can't believe no one got seriously hurt on, to be honest. And then street skating got big, and we just took it to parking lots and whatever, and that was fun. But for the most part,
Oh,
it was
sick.
just nobody was really good. Like we weren't good at it at all.
Yeah.
But I mean, but we loved it. It was so creative. It was something we could do by ourselves. There wasn't some coach on your ass about, do this, do that. It was like there's no structure. You can just grab your board and go to the 7-Eleven parking lot. Whatever happens is going to happen, and then you can get a Slurpee and go home. I mean, it was really easy for creative people. That's important to us, to not have the structure, to just kind of explore the space. So I relate a lot. Those two worlds, skateboarding and art, to me are very parallel highways.
Yeah.
They're just different mediums, really.
Hmm. Okay. And did you ever have a deck, where you were so bummed that you actually used it for skating, as far as like a visual person and enjoying the graphics?
Oh yeah, like anything. I've had like 30 of them, honestly. But if I knew now what I knew then, I would have bought 3 of each: skate one, sell one, and hang one.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
because then I would be in good shape. But
You
there
was
was
that.
one I remember. It was a Jeff Grasso's Schmidt Sticks toy blocks with a little baby doll holding up the baby blocks, and it was a most obnoxious hot pink. Like you couldn't. This paint can't even be made again. It was toxic pink paint. And I skated that thing to splinters, and if I could hang that on my wall because of the color that it is. I saw one pop up on eBay like almost a year ago, and I almost threw up for what it cost, because it went for like $9,000 because of
Oh my God.
it was minty mint, like it was fresh. So I was like, well, I'd love to have that back, but I'm not going to pay that. I mean, that's
Right.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I wish I
Damn.
had that one back, and then of course anything early John Lucero that I used to, because when I found out that's who did the graphics, I was like, oh, like I got to go look into that. I actually discovered the Grasso board first, and then went into to see the rest of John's work, and then I saw the Jester coming out of the hiding in the bars, the Jester coming out of the bar. That was it for me. I was like, that's the guy right there. That's the one
Sick.
who's really speaking to me. So at that point, I wish I had any of those back from the mid '80s. It would have been really cool to keep those.
Okay. All right. Now, do you have, a collection behind you there? Is there a specific, do they have actual like hanging, brackets or anything for boards, or how do you get them
They do, but
mounted
I
like that?
hand built these. I hand built
Oh,
them.
really?
I actually built a wood strip with screw plates that I could just hang them right up,
Oh,
and
okay.
then I can kind of interchange them. They're kind of where they need to be now as far as the series, because I hang them in series. As I get one that goes with the series, I'll put it in its rightful place. But it's pretty. Take you guys for a ride. It's pretty insane. That's just one wall. I
Damn.
still got more to do. There's the craniums, all black labels, because that's John's company now. It's fully backed on my end here. Love it. So
Shit.
I've actually posted a few of them, and some of the riders are like, "We don't even have those boards," and there are boards. I've gotten to know a couple of them, just pinging back and forth, and actually got to hang out with Jim Gagney in California, which was a trip because he's one of my favorites. And he's like, "Yeah, man, come over, hang out." And I was like, "What?" He was like, "Yeah, stop by." He lives right there, local. Just has his own business, does hardwood flooring, laminate. Really cool guy, super chill. Just
Sweet.
really, I never thought I'd get to do that, and it was kind of just like a little bit of a head trip.
Yeah, yeah, for
And then
sure.
I got to
No
meet John
rips.
Lucero at Joker's the year before, and he wasn't even around the area with his company. Apparently, he had taken it back to his garage to run it out of his
Whoa,
garage.
really?
And the guy at Joker's was like, "Yeah, we know him. I'll call him and he'll come down." And he just came down just to say what's up, which was pretty. I don't get
Awesome.
starstruck very much after like doing conventions and stuff. I used to, but not so much anymore.
Uh-huh.
And that kind of was a trip because I'm like, oh my god, this is the guy that really started the journey for me to want to keep going, and here he is right in front of me. So, and he was the most humble dude about it. He was so cool. Signed a few boards, took a few pictures, just took
Wow.
time out of his day to give a shit. That was like, that means everything to me. So
Yeah.
it was great. I always said I would do that too. If someone would like, message me for advice or ask something, I would never be too busy to do for them what he had done for me, because I just remember how cool that was. And if I can do the same thing for somebody, I will.
Yeah. I mean, here we are.
Right, exactly.
I'm a huge fan of your stuff. So, like I say, I really appreciate it. I've been looking
Oh,
forward to
for
this
sure.
for a long time. That's awesome. But that's really cool, hearing your personal experience and, having something as far as, being starstruck in a sense and like, holy shit, like this is a guy I've loved for years, That's sweet. Digging into your hardcore, or your hardcore, geez, I'm sorry, your horror origins. Just, as far as like, what was like the first horror movie that you watched and some of your earlier memories with that?
This is a good one. I remember watching the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre when I was way too young. Like I was not way. I came down and I think one of my parents' friends was babysitting me, and I just came downstairs, and it was, I guess he was watching it, and I just was like standing on the staircase, just kind of like, what the hell is this? I should not have ever been able to be in that position to watch that at that age. There's no way. But
Oh
once that
God.
happened, I was just like completely like interested, because it was a whole world I never knew existed. I was just like, I've never been, even into this. I don't know what this even is. So I just like the characters, because I like story and characters. So like the Leatherface character, I'm like, oh, it's a guy in a mask and he has a chainsaw and he's chasing people around. It looks like fun. Like, I just look at it as a kid perspective. Like, oh, it's like Halloween. You dress up, you go. I didn't really put the connection on how shocking it was. I was still a kid. I put my spin on it. I didn't even know. But I
Oh,
remember
right.
being
Oh.
pretty terrified of it. The chase scenes. I couldn't really I guess, figure out or decipher just how shocking it really was. That part didn't hit till later, but I just remember being like, wow, this is cool. Like, there's a whole series of movies that probably deal with this. Like, this is kind of fun. And then that got me right into it. And then once video stores opened, forget about it. Like, once they opened a West Coast Video 2 miles from my house, I was like, that's it for me. That's it. And I would just, same
Nice.
thing. That became the new skate shop. I'd go in there, and for 2 hours, I would go up and down the horror racks and look at all the art.
Sweet.
So
So
that
that was
was
your local shop. It was called West Coast Video?
West Coast Video, yeah, and they're a chain. They've been around. They're big, obnoxious red everywhere, and then big, like, marquee lights. If you could really catch yourself a seizure if you hit the lights right, you had to be really careful. But kids are just like, oh right, I'm just gonna go in there and binge a bunch of candy and walk around and let the lights hit me and look at all these VHS boxes, and it was too much fun.
Damn, that rules. That
Yeah, it was
rules.
great.
What a
TCM will always have a special place for that reason. It is my all-time favorite horror movie, original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So it's funny how that worked out. But
I love it.
yeah, the one I started with has become my favorite benchmark film in the genre.
What would you say, now getting a little bit older and kind of, being familiar with the genre and whatnot, what were some movies that kind of drew you in and, continued like, oh man, I really love this stuff. I want to, I need more.
Probably the Alien franchise. When I first saw Alien, that was terrifying. Because everyone has those movies where they're like, oh, hey, I want to be an astronaut. Then you watch Alien, you're like, nope, fuck that. I'm not being an astronaut. Nope. You watch RoboCop, you're going to be a cop, and you're like, nope, nope. Because kids, you're like, you just look at it, you're like, I want to be this, I want to be that. You're like, I want to be a firefighter, I want to be a spaceman, it's because the kids do.
Yeah.
And a lot of horror movies shut that down pretty fast, especially Alien. I was like, oh, wow, I was going to go into space maybe, and now I don't want anything to do with that. So once that happened and they released the sequel, and it became like an action film,
Oh,
then I
man.
was like, okay, I need more aliens, like in every possible way. I need more of that.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so that happened. I was very happy. I love all of them for different reasons. Absolutely
Uh,
do. Unapologetically, even really like Covenant. I know that I'm probably going to catch shit for that, but I love
I mean,
it.
yeah, I mean, especially for, like for sequels and for sequels, nowadays, I mean, that movie's good, as far as if people want to trash it, whatever. But I mean, I agree. I thought it was really good too.
Yeah, I mean, it was just, it's what it is. By the time you get to a fifth or sixth installment, like, it's time to stop splitting hairs and just start enjoying what you have. It doesn't have to be a good movie, but it can be a good time. You know, it can absolutely be fun. So, you know, that happened. And then, of course, Friday the 13th, that's a big one. All your benchmark slashers, your franchise slashers. I needed more Jason, more Freddy, more Myers. I needed all of that in a row. Then it set the tone for the little guys. Chucky and Leprechaun needed more of that. Absolutely. They kept scrolling in, and I was like, let's have more of that. Yeah. I just want all of it, you know. And then you had your weird, you know, body horror stuff. Like, I got big into Cronenberg and still am. I'm glad I hit Cronenberg late because I never would have known what the hell any of it meant.
Right.
I'm really glad that I saw it later in the game because I would have been like, I may not have liked it. And a lot of times now I want to keep giving his movies a watch, you know, multiple times because you're getting different. You're just getting different things from them each time out. So I'm glad I'm watching them with an adult lens versus like a 10-year-old kid lens who's like, why is James Woods putting a gun in his stomach? You know, like I don't need to ask that question.
I still wonder that.
Yeah, I don't think anybody really truly knows. Which is okay. I mean, that's okay. Right. And then you've got your newer horror films, which the new guard is fantastic.
Yeah.
You know, really good. There's a lot to be excited about. You know, our genre is alive and well here. You know, you got your purists who, you know, according to them, there's nothing good after Elm Street 3. That's unfortunate, you know, but I get it. You know, you can just say that you prefer that, but to say that there's nothing good past a certain point isn't really fair because there's plenty of good things. You just may have a preference. I mean, it's all about preference. I like all of it. I will seriously, if it looks interesting, absolutely take it for a spin and enjoy it. Doesn't matter. I don't have to hand in my, you know, OG Italian Giallo card if I like the new Suspiria. There's no reason for that. That's a stupid term. Like, who cares? Like what you like. I mean, it's really dumb. So that's what's good about it. You can always like do something with it. It's great.
You know, and mentioning Suspiria too is kind of funny. I mean, I guess I haven't really thought of that because there are, you know, some movies that I watched when I was younger, and, you know, I remember like I would buy anything that I could get, any DVDs that I saw, I would just constantly, like, I would have whatever little paycheck I had, that was all my money was going to, is those. And Suspiria was one of those movies where I watched it, and I feel like I was just a little too young and wasn't really understanding or being able to appreciate. And I sold this badass copy that I had, and I've been just sick over it ever since. You know, watching it again when I'm older now, you know, I'm like, God, what was I thinking?
Yeah, you're just like, well, because no one knew anything. No one knew what to do. I mean, you really didn't. So,
did you have a movie collection a lot too, or were you more when you were younger, or was it more just in the renting and, you know, kind of watching the new stuff?
For me, it was rental because renting was also part of the process for me. It wasn't just, you know, like, I mean, I like that I've got a pretty sizable collection now that I can, you know, everything's accessible right now, which is great.
Right.
You can stream anything, but I'm a big physical media fan, obviously.
Yeah,
of course.
me too.
But it's kind of like why wouldn't you be able to go over to your shelf and grab a movie, pop it in versus stream it? You know, I think there's both benefits to both. You know, streaming's wonderful. I think it's a great service. Physical media is wonderful. But for me as a kid, part of the process was going to the video store. It was part of the enjoyment. So you'd finish your homework early, you'd get your chores done, time to go to the video store. All right. Then you could, you know, it was part of the inaugural process of getting the movie that you wanted. It was the journey as well as the destination.
Right.
So that was part of the process for me. So renting movies was as pivotal as watching movies because it was part of one bigger picture. So I preferred getting to go and experience it. I'd love to be able to go to a video store and rent something. If there was a video store up the street from me, and then like West Coast, if they resurrected for some reason and we was able to recreate that same thing from when I was like 11, I'd be up there every week. I'd still go. Just because I want to be there. I mean,
And nowadays, especially too, you know, it's kind of a special time, you know, for like people that are, you know, more caught in the 80s or 70s or even the 90s, you know, as far as for horror movies. But if you look, you know, you look online, and you're somebody who contributes to this as well, as far as, you know, you get, you know, a special edition of a movie nowadays where, you know, there's a lot of different companies. You might not have ever even heard of this company, and they're putting out a steelbook of, you know, some movie that's never been released. You're like, holy shit, you know, where did this come from? Or they have, you know, different like slip cases and things. You know, like today, you know, as far as being a horror fan, is one of the better times that I can ever remember in my life. There's tons of great shit coming out, and new movies, new original stuff that's coming out.
You can get things. I mean, I've got 7 different copies of Suspiria, all different art. I mean, I had to. I've got four different ones of Texas Chainsaw too. Everything rules. I was just like, so I mean, my whole thing is I'm like, oh, I don't need another one of this in this package. I'm like, yeah, yes, I.
Yeah.
But that's kind of great because that means that that's
It's a
working.
gift and a curse.
Because that's what I do. So if somebody can make me feel that way, we're like, oh, I have to get that. If I feel that way, then I know it's working. Then I know that the packaging industry is coming along and the extras, double extra features, interviews, whatever they're going to pack into it, plus the presentation of it. If it makes me go, I can't pass on that, then it's done its job. Because why do you need 7 copies of something? You just do. Sometimes you just do. I mean, it's just how it goes. I mean, depending on how well they do, like they're really doing this so well, I have to get another one of these.
They're killing it right now.
Yeah, that's good. You're right, 100%. It's never been a better time to have so much available to you in so many ways in this genre and industry.
Yeah.
There's a ton for everybody. That's why it's like, just go out and get what you like. There's so right there for you. Just go get it.
Yeah, yeah. So now as far as like digging into QuiltFace Studios, tell me about, the start of the company and, even, maybe some struggles at first that you had to go through to get to where you are today.
Yep. Company kind of started with just as like, it was me and 3 other friends, and we were, kind of early 20s, not knowing what the hell we were even going to do. We just knew we wanted to do something creative. We just didn't know what that was yet. And, we would just sit around at my friend's house and like sketch or come up with like, ad campaigns for something, just like, just fun little like product placement things, and drink a lot of beer and just hang out and just like, do those things. And I was like, we need a name for it. What if we got a company? Like, what would we call it? And nobody really knew. So we just decided one day to just like, he had Terror Tunes and we watched Terror Tunes, we were just like, whatever, let's just like, get a bunch of beer and just hang out and watch movies all day. It'd be fun. So we do that, and then there was a trailer before Terror Tunes hit called Carnage: The Legend of QuiltFace, and we just latched onto that and went, "This is like a Leatherface ripoff. This is awesome!" And it was so bad and perfect. I'm like, this is kind of what we're about. Like, we don't take ourselves too seriously, but we're still, very much a thing. It should be campy and should be fun. It should absolutely be ridiculous, but it's also something that people could maybe have a little substance to. But it just kind of fit for some reason, and it just kind of, kind of flowed. Everyone just kind of looked at each other and went, yeah, maybe. And we tried it out, put it on some business cards, and just kind of stick. Let it stick a little bit, and we go out places and hand people cards, and they're like, what is this? We're like, we don't know. Like, we don't know yet. And they would just be like, what? Like, what? And I was like, yeah, we have no idea where the hell this is going, but this is who we are. And they had no idea what to do with it. And neither did we. That was the best part. It was just like, well, whatever. This movie didn't know what the hell it was doing. So, and it made a movie. So we're going to be okay. Like, it was kind of like us in a sense. So that kind of came from there. And then like, 3 of the guys, of course, you kind of go your own way, as time goes. And I just kind of held on to it because, one, it's sentimental to me. It was a good time, when we didn't know what we were doing. It packs a lot of nostalgia. And 2, I just really liked it. And I was like, okay, well, I don't want this to make it look like it never existed. So I'll try to, keep it going. And then, here we are. And it just kind of, I always told them, I said, if you guys wanted me to go out on my own and because you're not with it anymore and you want me to disband the name and do something else, I would, and they're like, no. So it was just kind of who we were, it was who we were when we didn't know who the hell we were and what we were doing. And that was great because it shows that you can get through that. You can absolutely figure it out on the way as you're doing it in real time. So I guess that's why it's special because, even now when you're still learning, I'm like, oh, well, if we got through that, the rest of this is going to be no problem.
Nice.
We didn't know who the hell we were at the time, so whatever hurdle I'm facing now, art-wise, isn't going to be anything. I didn't know anything even then, and we still did it. So
yeah, that's awesome. I love that. I never knew that. And the company has been around for like 7-8 years now, right?
Yeah, and yeah, it's been pretty
kicking.
As far as like building and growing. Yeah, I mean, I went through and found a few of our old ads that we had designed way back, and I was like, man, we were really just scratching the surface here. It was kind of something we were just kind of getting our feet wet with, and it was great. But when you look at those, and then now where I'm like, okay, here's this digital print I did, 11x17, just some ad campaign with some we did the old 50s military insignia stuff, which was fun. And then I look at a screen printed poster and it just came off the press. I'm like, wow, that is a journey. I mean, that's a long road. So it's a long road, but it's a short trip. You know, you look back and you're like, wow, that was quick. You know, it's quick, but it's you go a pretty good distance.
Yeah. Wow.
So,
Okay.
I mean, it was special, real special.
For sure, for sure. If you can, give us a little bit of an idea, a little bit of insight of your general, process as far as, I know things kind of differ, from
Oh
time to
yeah,
time
yeah.
and project to project, but, if you have something just as far as, if you generally kind of idea to, to final product, what
Oh
do you
yeah.
got?
So for me, it's always concept first. I don't do a whole lot of direct likenesses. You know, the as I call them, the character piles, or posters where it's all the characters. You know, those are great. People who illustrate those do an amazing job, but that's not an interest level I have to do. So I don't really wish to illustrate likenesses if I can help it. It's just not my level of interest. So for me, it's a concept. I'm like, oh, I want to do something conceptual, like an idea from the movie. You know, something
Mm-hmm.
where if I had not seen the movie, I would want to see it. You know, based on the poster. So it's always concept first, and that can be maddening because people are like, how long does it take to do a poster? I'm like, once I have a concept, it can take anywhere between 24 hours and a week versus, but the idea may have taken 2.5 weeks. You know, the concept may have taken, for me to refine it, might have taken longer. Sometimes it just flows. I mean, I'll draw something on a napkin somewhere and then be like, yep, there it is. This is exactly what I pictured. And that'll be a day turnaround. The Godzilla seismograph poster was done in a little under 2 days, idea to paper, and
Damn, really?
yeah, it just came out. It just, and I drew it. I was like, yep, that's it. That's exactly what I want to do. So,
Holy
I
shit.
mean, but then there's been other ones
Oh
where I'll
boy.
do something and I can't get something right. Like I can't. There's one element that whatever it is, I just can't do it. It takes a little longer. But the process I used to worry about with the having anxiety about things, I used to just be like, why can't I get this right? I got the other one right. You know, why is this one taking so much longer? And I would stress out. And now it's like, well, now I enjoy the process. When there's a curveball, I like the challenge. It's kind of like it's saying, be better. You know, you can find a better solution versus you won't get it. Now I look at it as your idea was almost there, but there's something better out there. So figure it out. And now I enjoy the challenge instead of stress about it because it's just all process. That's part of it too. So,
Yeah.
I mean, but
Okay.
generally it's a concept first, then a sketch to make sure the concept works. Then some research and reference. You know, you hit some reference points up and kind of dummy them in to see if they'll even work. And then you make some changes along the way. And then I just overload it with textures because I love the texture work. I just love it. A little grit and grain, tried and true. See what
Yeah.
works there.
Okay.
And then once that happens, it's just a matter of refining it. And now that I'm screen printing, I've been doing that for a while with having All Star Press do my screen prints. I've been going through and making sure that you go in and do your color separations correctly and you make sure your layers and your inks are properly named. And
Yeah.
I just want to
Okay.
make it easy for them because the easier job they have, the quicker they can do it and the better it's going to look. So
Right.
I've learned that process as part of my design process was also file setup. You want to make sure that that's important. Anyone who's starting out with screen printing, learn file setup, learn it the right way. It's important to do that because you're going to have a really really easy time dealing with a printer and a studio who can print your work and they're going to love you for it. They've never had to worry about a file. Like I send it over and they just go. I mean, they're just like,
Oh, okay.
they're like, we would love this if people could do this. They told me
Oh,
that
right.
last year at C2E2 where they're just like, we don't even, like, we don't want to sound like that, but it's so easy to print your stuff because you give us so much, like
Upfront detail.
upfront detail, right? You're just like, we don't really have to be under anything. We just know there's your layer, there's the ink, there it is, and then when it's done, but you're specific. So if people do that starting out, a little tip: learn file setup, learn pre-press setup because it's going to benefit you and the people you work with, and then your final poster is going to look amazing. So learn
Okay.
that. It's a pretty big deal.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to ask because I'm not familiar. I mean, unfortunately, I'm nothing of an artist whatsoever. But yeah, I was wondering what you're meaning. So okay, so just as far as like going in and having a little bit more prep and taking the extra time
Oh
to
yeah,
do that
oh yeah,
makes the whole process better.
for sure. And then everyone involved is going to like working with you because you took the time to learn something on their end. And also when you're doing a file or a print and the terminology that they'll use, you'll be familiar with it. You won't have to have them hold your hand through it. You know, at first you will because you're learning, but when you start to learn it and really get versed in it, you'll have an easier time. They'll have an easier time. And then when they send you your final posters, there'll be no mystery on what went wrong or why does this look off, because there's no way it could. I mean, you're really just helping yourself and them and your final art piece greatly by taking the time to learn that.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. You know, and mentioning, you know, as far as some of your pieces that have, you know, have gone 2 days or a long time, you know, does something come to mind as far as one that just took, you know, a grueling amount of time to finish?
There was one that was just particularly maddening. It was yeah, it was something that I just was I couldn't get it for the life of me. It was my chud print, because I wanted to do something with the manhole, and I wanted to do something with the radiation. So I had the shapes perfectly, but the imagery wouldn't line up. And then I would get one to line up, and I'm like, why does it look like he's split between underground? He's supposed to be underground. So for like 2 weeks, I couldn't figure it out. I would set it aside, go back to it. I'm like, damn it, no, I still can't get it. Finally, the one night I was just like, I just got pissed at it, and I was just like, well, this is right here. And I flipped the image, I inverted it. And I'm like, oh, there it is. And it was something so stupid and like elementary, and
you're like even more pissed at it, like it being that simple. Huh?
Oh, I was. I'm like, that's all I had to do. I was like, that's all I had to do. I just had to invert it, and I was like, I could have put this to bed 2 weeks ago. But then you laugh, and you know, instead of getting mad, you laugh at that, and you go, that's my process, you know. So right. I just was like, I mean, I'll tell the story to the designers, and they're like, we've been there. Well, they're like, yeah. So we all go through something where it's like, wow, that was so little and stupid, but for some reason took so long.
Right. Right.
It was worth it though, because you know, I'd rather go through 2 weeks of that and get it right than just, you know, finish it out of spite and have it. It'll just bother me if it doesn't look right. I would just be like, why did I print this?
Yeah. Right. Okay.
I'll tell you what was an easy concept that took about a day was the Greasy Strangler. That was one that.
Damn, really?
Yeah, it took a day because there's not really much mystery to that. You can just
right.
So I was like, I know exactly what I'm gonna do, and I ended up sending a poster out to the guy who played the Greasy Strangler. He saw it on a fan page. He's like, how do I get that? I need this. This is perfect. And I was like, yeah, dude, I'll just send it to you. And he's like, can I pay shipping? I'm like, no, you just knocked out one of the most insane, weird roles of our generation, and nobody knew what to do with anything you just did. We're still in shock. We send it to you, and yeah, it's awesome. Great. I was so jazzed on it, but yeah, that one for some reason I'm like, oh, I was just like, that makes sense. I was like, so here's Chud, which is Monsters Underground. That should be my thing. 80s style Monsters Underground. Nope, that took 2 weeks. I was like, here's this weird movie with tons of disco and dick in it, and I get that, and I get that in 24 hours. So, you know, you're just like, nothing makes sense sometimes. Sometimes it just works out. Sometimes you're like, there it is. I got it. And you know how it is. But like, sometimes there's no rhyme or reason, and that is the process. You just don't understand. You do it as you go. But damn, that was fun. And I remember one of the interns at All-Star Press, when she was starting her first print job, was that poster. She's like, you know, that was the first poster I had to print. And I was like, oh, that was your first print job? I'm like, wow, they broke you right in.
Yeah.
She's like, I loved it. I thought it was so much fun. I was like, yeah, who's printing that? Like, whose first print job is that? So we're good friends now. It's funny. We like hang out when we're in town with the gallery.
Yeah.
You know,
that's either a make or break moment, I think.
Those folks, they're a really good crew. I can't say enough good things about the All-Star Press crew. They welcomed me into their family pretty enthusiastically, and you know, all of them are just wonderful people, and we just have fun. When I go into Chicago, it's like I get treated. That city treats me so well. New York used to treat me really well, but I don't really have ties there anymore. Chicago, I feel more of a home base too, with the gallery and the events. Okay. And then everyone there is just really cool. They're just artists who want to, you know, have fun and learn and enjoy themselves, and really good, like-minded people. So I can't say enough good things about their crew, and I'm just grateful to be part of that.
Sweet. Okay. Yeah. So, you know, and touching on, you know, your work, and then as far as, you know, slip covers and movies as well, a couple, you know, that I had to toss out here. You got the old Play Dead, you know what I'm saying, Vinegar Syndrome, and your work, you got pigs. But the one that I really wanted to ask about, and just I wanted to dig on how this came about, was the one and only Slaughterhouse, dude.
Slaughterhouse.
Holy shit.
This
For
is
anybody that hasn't seen this thing, it is absolutely insane as a slipcover. I don't think I've ever seen anything like it. If you can just give us, the story behind how this came about, it's fucking awesome.
So I was doing some covers for them that they had pretty much pitched to me. They'd say, we have this movie we want you to do the art for if you're interested in. I was like, which is always a yes, because their stuff is so much fun. And I've never turned down a cover from them because I've liked so much of all the projects they've given me. And, even the ones I didn't know, I was excited to do and look into. So I kind of was like looking around, and they were talking about doing slipcovers for some back catalog movies that they'd previously released. And I was like, wouldn't it be cool to do something for Slaughterhouse where we keep the original art because it's so iconic of Buddy just standing there with the axe just right there in the front. So what if we built a freezer door around him, like sliding doors, where he was like, it looked like he was coming out of the doors. So I'm like, whoa, shit! Like I should pitch that. I should actually see if they want to do it. So I contacted them and I was like, hey guys, and normally you give me the projects, but how about this? Is there a way that we can make this? And they're like, we don't know yet. We're going to talk to our people who do the boxes and see if that's a possible thing to even construct physically. So they said they could do it. And then I was like, well, how about I work up we'll do it like a spot gloss, steel locker with a grit and the two handles, and I'll do the inside. It'll be like a split pig. And I was like, basically, we'll keep the original art because it's iconic. I don't want to replace it. And we'll just make something that'll house the original art. And so when you pull it apart, he's just standing there looking at you. And they're like, that sounds like a lot of fun. Like, we should do that. So they kind of took, I gave them the idea that I had and said, what do you think? Should we make this? Are you guys interested? And they agreed, which I'm happy about because, the damn thing came out like ridiculously better than I could have imagined.
Amazing.
I knew it was going to be cool if we pulled it off, but I was at Chiller Convention way back before it was going to come out, and I saw Brandon at the table, and he was like, hey man, I got something to show you. And he had a prototype, and he had one of the prototypes.
Oh shit.
And he's like, your eyes only, but I want to show you the prototype because I know you're going to be excited. So I pulled this thing apart, and I'm like, oh, that's too cool for even like really people are gonna lose their minds over this. I was so excited for them to share it because I knew how excited I was, and I knew about it, and I was excited.
Right.
And so this thing hits, and for one of their sales, and I spent the whole weekend tracking it because the sales of it, because I wanted to see interest, how it was doing, and people freaked out. They lost their minds over it. And it was such a simple idea. It was let's just put him in a meat locker, and then that's how you get him out. Yeah. And it was such a simple notion that just worked. I'm like, that just makes sense. Like, no, let's not get rid of the original art. I got a lot of messages from people saying thank you for keeping the original VHS art of him standing there with that. I said, well, I wasn't going to get rid of that. That's iconic. But why don't we just enhance it by building something around it? So we got to get the best of both worlds. You got an interactive slip with the original art, and that's hard to do if it doesn't work out. But this one was tailor-made for that. And even to this day, people are just like, how'd you come up with that? I'm like, it just seemed obvious. It just seemed it seemed like, why not? Like, that makes sense. Like, put him in there, and if you want a slip cover, and put some bloody lettering across it. And it was so cool. And, you get some people that are just like, some folks were just not, a couple, you got your handful of people that are just like, we don't see the point of this. And I'm like, okay, you can get the standard edition. It's okay. There's something for everybody. But so many people vibed it, and it was real popular. Like they sold a lot of them, which I was happy with because it wasn't even really supposed to happen according to them, because they didn't come up with it as far as like being part of their original plan.
Yeah.
And then they kind of agreed and said, sure, well, that's a good idea. And then it ended up being very beneficial for both of us because it was popular and people really enjoyed it. So I thought that was cool, and that kind of, sprung up a few other different possibilities for different packaging. You could do a die cut, a split, like the Hell Comes to Frogtown one that they did.
Yeah.
Triangle split. Yeah. And I was like, maybe this started getting the ball rolling on some of that. Maybe not, once they realized what was possible. Once they saw the Slaughterhouse, what that could do. The Frogtown is probably one of my favorite releases. I have a really shitty transfer copy on DVD, and when they hit that, I was like, finally, this movie deserves this so much. And I was like, I'm getting this with the deluxe slip. There's no way I'm not getting this.
Sure.
It's one of my favorite releases other than that. But the Slaughterhouse and the Jack Frost are two of my favorite projects.
That Jack Frost, man, that slipped through my cracks one way or another, man. And I've been Hawkeyeing that thing on eBay ever since. And Jesus H, that thing goes for some money.
It goes for a bit. The one that ironically goes for a
And
good
rightfully
bit.
so. It's fucking awesome.
Thank you. Is Bloodhook. Bloodhook was one that people freaked out over too. And I did not understand how that got to be such a thing with collectors. And I was just kind of like, wow, Bloodhook, awesome. This is great. Like, people are freaking out over this. And it started with them asking me to do it in a short turnaround if I could come up with a concept. So I was, having lunch. I was at a pizza shop and I drew a sketch on a napkin, took a screen cap of it, sent them the napkin, and they approved the sketch, and I went home and worked on it. So the original Bloodhook was, I came up with the idea having lunch and then drew it on a napkin to send it in real time. I actually had the sketch. I had the sketch in the napkin. I still have it.
Oh, damn. That rules.
I'm not getting rid of that. That was just too cool of a process. The story's too good behind it. I don't want to part with it. Maybe in one of the groups I'll post it later down the road if people are interested in seeing the origin, if they what they want to. If not, I'm not going to like push it on them. But if they're curious about where it came from, I'd be happy to share it. But
was that the first project that you did with Vinegar Syndrome?
No, I did the bees. The bees was my first cover. I did. And then I did the reverse cover for pigs, and then they wanted me to do the slip, which I like better. I'm glad I got another shot at that because I like the second design that you just had better than what I did way back. So I was able to kind of have both in there, which was nice. But the slip I liked a lot better. So they've given me a lot of very, very fun projects. And I remember getting the video of the Jack Frost lenticular. They sent me the prototype and like them moving it, and I forgot where I was, and I just reacted to it. Like I don't know. I just remember being so jazzed. I just blurted it out, and I was just like, "Oh fuck yeah, that's awesome!" And I could have been in the middle of like somewhere. I just reacted. I was like, "Oh my god, this is too cool!" And then I wanted to show everybody, but I couldn't yet because I was like, oh, "I can't show anybody. This sucks. I gotta wait."
Yeah, don't show me how it's available. Shit.
Yeah, that part was the worst. Like, I gotta sit on this for 2 months until they release it. I'm like, damn it. But I mean, I did. I kept it pretty quiet. I told people that I was working on something big. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, we have an understanding about that. It's their release, their thing. Right. So working with them has been one of the most fun and weird and interesting and growing. The titles are so out there and perfect. Like I love it. They're just like, go ahead, go nuts. Yeah, and, it's been really cool. I got a few other clients in 2021 that just for continuity's sake, I probably will not mention them because we haven't released anything official yet, but they're going to. So I don't want to do that. I don't want to prematurely jump the gun without their blessing. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, I've added a few clients to the roster during pandemic time, and we ended up knocking out a couple really bizarre, fun projects.
Oh my god!
I'm still on the search for that elusive LP design. I would love to design a soundtrack, that's got to be a 2021 goal for me. I don't even care what it is. It's got to be. I got to be part of that somehow. So hopefully something big and fun, but it's something I want to do because I love what people are doing with those now.
Hell yeah. Yeah, so absolutely.
Really
absolutely.
Nice. I mean, really nice stuff.
Yeah. The most recent one I grabbed here was this Silent Night, Deadly Night one. Gary Pollin dude.
Crushed that.
Dear heavenly God. But you know what, man? That's one thing, seeing you doing something like that would be the same exact outcome.
He's a big influence and somebody I really I looked up to and still do. And now we've gotten to be friends. And we're at conventions and when we're at the same show, we'll talk, hang out, like just have we've had really good talks, really insightful talks, me and him. And he just gets it. He's a guy that he understands how it goes. He's just like, well, here's how I do it, and here's what I'm about. And he's very straightforward and just very friendly. Like he's very, I feel like he's just somebody that as big of a talent as he is, he has no shred of ego. He's extremely cool to everybody. Agreed. And I love getting to talk to him. So, I mean, this is going to be his shout out, obviously, but everything I see come down the pipeline, I'm just happy that, we've had those experiences. So, yeah. It's funny because I was spending the Black Christmas a few days ago, and that was also his handiwork from last year.
Yeah.
And I just, which is just incredible. So it's nice to see, one of your design, someone you look up to in art and design, when you meet them, they're very cool to you. And see you as, somebody who's on the same playing field, not like, I wasn't just considered somebody like walking up randomly. Like, we have a mutual respect for each other's work and friendship, and it's great. So he's been excellent, and I miss the conventions for that, interaction,
meet and greet,
with fans and other artists. Like, the celebrity guests are cool. I like that, but I like seeing fans and collectors a lot, friends that I don't get to see, and then fellow artists who we share work, across the country and across the world, and then we finally get to see each other 1 or 2 times a year. So when you get to see each other, it's a lot of fun. So I do miss seeing all of them. They're excellent, and it was just kind of a little bit of a I went a little sappy, but
no, that's I mean, it's awesome. It's cool because I mean, the thing is like, that's where everywhere, the more people that I talk to and the different people that are artists or directors or actors, are the people that are really into horror. It's cool to hear their stories of that they love this shit just as much as I do, and just like a regular old fan, they love this stuff, and it just comes from being a huge fan.
We can't help it. Like, I can't design something I'm not into. It's a job, and I don't want to, and I know it'll be lousy. Whatever I come up with is going to be terrible. So, the last thing I want to do is agree to design something that I'm not interested in or passionate about, because it's just going to reflect on the end product's going to reflect that I didn't like it. Right. So a lot of us are fans. We're sitting here watching movies, and I'm like, oh man, we should do a poster for this. Here's how I want to do it. Sometimes I'll watch a movie and get an idea for a totally different poster because of that movie. I don't even understand how that works. Nothing's been totally crazy yet, where I've been watching the Mighty Ducks and been like, oh, I got a sweet idea for a Cannibal Holocaust page. I should probably get on that. Nothing like that, but like genre close. It's close, but nothing that crazy. Once that starts happening, I'll start to
Right. Oh,
then I'll worry. I'll be like, maybe I should unplug for a while.
All right, so you being a fan of horror and a lover of horror movies, tell me, if you could have any one prop from any horror movie ever, what would you want to have in your collection?
Oh, this is a good one. Well, it's going to be a tie between, the Excalibur chainsaw from Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, because that thing is a beast. When I saw it, like, engraved. They have an engraving on it. I was like, I want that. I remember seeing those. And then you get to just go outside and swing it around. I mean, it's how much fun. But I would probably do that regularly. Like, I'm gonna do this regularly. But actually, I'm gonna give it a 3-way tie. I would also love to have the prop hand from Videodrome, where it's James Woods' hand using the gun.
Yeah.
Because how cool is that? And then, of course, the Hattori Hanzo sword from Kill Bill that she runs through everybody in the House of the Blue Leaves with.
Yeah, that would be
so
sick.
I can't pick one. But if I had to get it down to it, it's gonna be the chainsaw, because I just know I would swing that thing around way too much. I'd be out there like cooking burgers and be like, oh wait. People would just be like, what the? I was just like, I got it. I was like, come on, if you had this, you would do that. Come on. Like,
right. How can you not? How can you not?
Right, exactly. How could you not?
That is amazing. All right. Three scenes in horror for this is going to be our last question before our finale. 3 scenes in horror that are forever ingrained in your brain, whether they're just disgusting, messed up, or, terrifying. What do you got?
All right, so 3 scenes. The original Texas Chainsaw, the meat hook. I can never forget how I could feel that one. I was like, like when you see him just spike her down on it. I was like, oh, that one is really, really a mess. That's a tough one. That one particularly. Then you've got, this is a really good question. Oh man, there's also the scene, the end scene of Sleepaway Camp.
Okay.
Because that broke a lot of barriers. I mean, you can't forget that. It's an unforgettable scene. We were all just kind of looked at each other like, holy shit, really? Like, nobody saw that coming. And it's just, and I love showing new people that movie. I'm like, let's watch Sleepaway Camp. You never seen it? Let's watch it, because I know that they're not going to be ready for the ending. It's going to be a lot of fun. That was particularly good. And then, of course, I've got the Dead Alive lawnmower scene. That was really particularly just gross. I
Yeah.
mean, those are standouts from if I'm naming, if there's millions of other ones, but if I'm
Oh
naming
yeah.
some from my video store days again, that was just, ugh.
Bring you back for more every time.
Yeah, you just do. I mean, like I was watching Bad Taste last week, and I was just like, man, I wish Peter Jackson would go back to making 11-cent horror movies
Dude.
because these are so much fun. I'm like, how did this guy go on to have a $60 trillion budget for it was so wild. And I'm like, well, he made these movies for like $19, and
I know.
they're so good.
Have you seen Meet the Feebles?
Oh yeah, that's excellent.
I've
Oh
never
yeah.
seen that one. That's one I still have to get, and
Oh
it
yeah, go out
just
there
hitting
and
on Peter Jackson. I keep
take that for a test drive for sure. Absolutely enjoy
yeah.
that one because that's a good time.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Definitely.
Nice.
But it's wonderful. I mean, some of them, and then anything with an eyeball scene, any kind of eyeball scene. There's always that. Then you get your Tarantino Achilles heel cut scenes, which are always gruesome. There's so many to name. Like we could be here for hours running them down. But like,
Right.
yeah, some of them just also pack such a punch because of the group. Like if somebody's watching with you and you're like, oh, here comes this scene. How are they gonna deal with it? I know what I'm gonna do.
Right.
And yeah, so it's fun in that sense. But there's
Yeah.
so many. There's so many. That's the best part of this genre. There's so many memorable moments that are gross and unforgettable.
Yeah, yeah. I love it. I love it. All right. So, as far as our interview, this is wrapping up. This is going to be your opportunity if you want to give a shout, if you have a couple of things you'd like to say, this is your opportunity, and we're going to have our finale right after, man.
Excellent. Well, I always want to thank anybody who even takes the time to even just look at my work or enjoy it, and people that have been collecting it for a while, and also the people that are just here initially for the first time. Thank you. It's a lot of fun for me to do this, and means even more that you all enjoy it. So it never gets old, and it's always appreciated. And plenty more coming. I can assure you that until the well runs dry in the brain, which I'm not counting on, there'll be a lot more coming. And I want to thank All Star Press for everything they've done for me as far as the events, the conventions, the opportunities, being the best print shop for the kind of work that I'm doing, and Don and Rebecca at Poster Posse and all the other members. It's like one big creative family over there. We've been at it since the beginning of the group founding, and there's so much inspiration out of all of those groups I just mentioned that there's just really no way that you can't be inspired to create with all that. So some advice for some of the new people: surround yourself with people that I've been fortunate enough to surround myself with, whatever that version is for you, and you'll never have a dry spell. It won't be possible. And just enjoy the process as much as the end result. That's another thing. So thank
Sweet.
you all for everything, really.
That's great. And I mean, great advice. I couldn't, like I say, I guess I'm not an artist, but that's a great way to break it down, as far as, even in film, in a band,
Anything.
you surround yourself around like-minded
Yeah.
people. Yep.
Because it can be rough out there. So the way to do it is to find those people that are going to enhance your journey, not, kind of stifle it. You want to keep those people away. And there's egos everywhere. I don't do them. I don't understand it. There's no reason for it. There's room for everybody to do their thing. I steer clear of that. So find yourself some people who are going to build you up, and you can build them up. And before you know it, you got a nice supportive community of people that make you feel like you can do anything you want.
Hell yeah. All right, man. I love it. Very, very good. So for our finale here, I was trying to conjure up a couple ideas, think of a couple of things here that that I've learned about you in my research here. And so I came up with a finale question here for you, and I call it Tony Hawk QF Skater. All right. So in this, basically, Tony Hawk's going to make a brand new pro skater video game. All right. And he reaches out. He says, Chris, this is what I need. I need 3 of your pieces. May they be horror pieces, prints, covers. I need 3 of these that I'm going to create into deck art for my brand new video game.
Oh, this is a great question.
What 3 pieces would you choose?
Oh, this is a really good one. I would say Event Horizon would be a really good skate deck.
Oh man,
I would say that.
So fucking sick.
that was nightmare fuel when we did that. That just came out of nowhere. I had a different concept for that, and it didn't work at all. And I was so frustrated that I ended up just sitting there, and I had just got mad at everything because I'm like, I had this. And then I just got angry, and then I had this old bottle of Knob Creek Reserve bourbon. And I was just like, I'm just gonna have a drink and sit here and relax. And then I had 3, and then I had 5, and then this just came out. And I'm like,
oh shit.
I was like, that's pure evil. That's awful. Like this, I gotta use this. And it was early on. It was my early on thing, and I'm not endorsing that being part of anybody's process, but that's literally how that happened. I'd be lying if I said that didn't happen that way. So I sent it over to a friend of mine for the screening, and he's like, "Dude, this is the most gnarly thing you've ever put on paper. Like this is." He's like, "My wife doesn't even want to be in the same room with it. Like she doesn't even want to be near it." And I was like, "All right, it's a winner. We're gonna have to go ahead and do it." So yeah, little sideway backstory on that.
Love that. Yeah,
that's cool.
Sweet.
So that one for sure, definitely that one.
Okay.
I'd also I've done so much work that it's just like it's kind of hard to run it down. I'd also have to say, very likely, I think the Kill Bill would make a good skateboard because it's long format. I think that would be a good one because it's got the snake. It actually reads like a board graphic. It's a panel.
Yeah,
so that would be a good one to do.
Okay.
I think for sure. And then the Prowler.
Oh, yes.
Because of the way it splits, you could do like a natural wood split where the paper is. It would look really cool.
Yeah. That rips. That is awesome.
I think that'd be a lot of fun to do. I think the Event if they did it, they'd put it on a black dip board with silver paint. That'd be awesome.
Oh my god!
Yeah, I kind of want to do that. I want to do that. I don't want to be that much.
Yeah, don't release out anymore, man, because you need to make that happen. Shit.
I don't want to be that much of a narcissist and hang my own board art on my wall. I just don't want to do that. I got
that would rip. That would rip, man. That'd be a whole different, level of like art collecting and starting to do boards.
Yeah, I would love to. I mean, one of my dream gigs is to do a series for Black Label. So if any of you guys are listening, I would love to do some deck art, and it'd be a lot of fun.
Hell yeah. Awesome. All right, man. Chris, I lost you here for a second.
There we go.
Did I get you back?
Yep, I'm back.
All right. I was just going to say thank you so much, man. I truly appreciate your time.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I appreciate, you hopping on here and doing this, and I love your work, and I can't wait to see what's coming next, my man.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me. It's been great, and we'll work out something real cool and get this going. And once plenty more starts happening, we can start sharing some of that stuff I've been able to talk about. So I appreciate everything, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you so much, buddy. Lo-Fi Horror Guy, Chris Garofalo. Garofalo. Oh, my heavenly God. I'll get it right by the next time, I promise.
It's okay. Man. It's been a long time. We started with that and we ended with that. It's been a long time.
That's right. You guys take care. Stay safe, buddy.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
He's a lo-fi horror guy. Yeah, he's kind of a guy, but he is so lo-fi, a horror guy. Yeah.